Right. What else do we have? Things. Garlic. Ooh, it's a rotten one. What's your favorite technique so far? That? You seen it before?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Everyone seen that before? Not yet, with garlic? Okay. That's what I'm going to show you. Most of you guys have probably seen when you prep garlic, you normally just smash it with your knife, right, and then you can take it out. But if you want to prep a lot, bigger bowl works better. But if you shake them like this, it beats it up a little bit, and then the peel comes off. So it's a good way to prep them. It's better if it's a bigger bowl too, because a lot of it'll get more space to get knocked around. And a lot of times that'll happen. Again, if it was a bigger bowl, it makes it a little bit easier because they bruise up a little bit. And a lot of times, all of them will just be already peeled for you. And you just pick out the peels and toss them. So that's a trick that we've done in the past here. Sometimes depends on the garlic too. The garlic needs to be a little bit on the drier side. This was in the fridge maybe. So maybe that's why it didn't work as well. But that's something you could do also. In first quarter, how did you guys peel them? Just by paring them or by smashing them?
Smashing it.
Smash, yep. So either way, but that wasn't the best example, but that can happen if you need to peel a lot of garlic. So if you guys are all working together, right, probably everyone's going to need garlic at some point. So if someone just takes the opportunity to grab it, smash it, shake them up for everyone, everyone's got a clove or two for the day that they need. Or mince them for everyone, you know, that works too. As far as mincing, no real tricks for me, you know, from what you've learned with garlic. Kind of smash it with your knife, right? Chop, smash, same thing. Okay? This is basil. Where is it? There it is. So if you were ever going to do a tender herb or dice herbs, these aren't in the best shape already. Pull them off. You set it up just like chiffonade, okay, where you stack the leaves up. I may be putting the little ones in the center. And again, things that are tender, you'll have to slice at it versus chopping at it. Okay, and I think this is one of the things that I want to see on the test. I think it just says 10 leaves or something. There's probably way more than that. Okay. But instead of rolling it and doing the chip, you can do it fine if you want. just like that. Or what I'm looking for is if you want to actually dice it, you're probably going to be cutting it just one time because it is a tender herb. One time this way. And then go to the other side. And line them up and one time that way. So that's important because you don't want to go at it like this. It will go brown by tomorrow. Okay? You kind of want it like this where you're only cutting it once and once on things that are tender. Okay? Or else it will bruise up and it will not look good. And also, instead of having to roll it up like chiffonade, I just go ahead and shred like that. It's better because you don't have to roll it and bruise it. That's why I prefer to do it that way. So you can see a few different cuts, but I believe that this is the one that I want to see for the test. You pass it around. They're not all going to be perfect, but definitely want to get pretty close. Ginger. A lot of times for ginger, you guys are taking a spoon to peel it, right? For me, a lot of times for rustic Asian cuisine, we don't even peel it. We just go ahead and use it, okay? We probably will be cutting some of the knobs off, and in between these creases, there can be a lot of dirt. So you want to cut those off a little bit. Those areas where there could be some dirt. Okay. So anytime we're doing ginger, do it like this. Don't peel. From there, you can cut straight up and down like that, or find your plank. Maybe that's too long. Let's say if you want to mince it, you know, you can line it all up. Chef Drew, how it goes?
How you doing?
Good?
If I had like 4 bunches of mustard greens, like you can use it.
4 bunches of it? Possibly. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna bring them in then.
Okay.
If not, I'll cook them down.
Cool. So if you end up with these shreds, guys, from there, just like we do, julienne basically becomes brunoise, right? You can then mince. So anytime you guys are thinking about mince, think about this because it's the fastest way to get there. Okay? Versus if I just went like this, just however I want it, and then like this, it works too. You will get a mince if you do this. but you can see it's taking me quite a long time to get to there. So anytime you guys are thinking about doing something small cut, think about starting it as planks, your julienne, and then dicing it before you have to mince. You see, if I would have did it that way, you see this is still quite rough. This is already like super small. You can continue to mince that, but it makes life a little bit easier if you follow that plank, sticks, dice, mince. Okay? What are we going to do with this now? Ginger? Tea? Tea next week for us?
Next week, like steep it in water and then you get honey.
Ginger, honey tea? That works. Jalapeno, same way that I showed you the red pepper basically. It's just weird because it's longer. Okay, top, bottom, roll it out, take some of the membrane off, then do your brunoise. Okay, so it's for a salsa. If you need to mince it, same thing, follow the same procedure, mince it that way. Typically peppers, we want kind of seedless. Okay. Mushrooms, there's that old technique of turning them, and it's a funky technique. I don't get to do it a lot, but you kind of start with the knife like that and pass it through a few times like that while turning the mushroom. Depending what angle you come in at it, it'll change how you cut it. I'm turning the mushroom also. But I'm just kind of resting my knife on there. You guys saw that photo and you definitely just peel those off and that's what you end up with. And I think the photo on the lecture shows them doing something like that. You can only do it if the mushroom's super fresh and still got a lot of moisture. If they've dried out a little bit, this technique doesn't really work too well. You can go just like that. And again, you can garnish something with it. Again, the knife is kind of like so, and turning the mushroom. After you do a few of them, it gets a little bit better. The first few, it's always like, how do I do this again? You know? Same with tournée also. But as you can see, looks something like that. Cut off the stem a little bit. Sometimes people want to take the stem out. I like to leave it in there. I just cut it. Okay? So there's your turned mushrooms. You don't really use that technique a ton. I've never had to do it, but it's a good little garnishing technique. Okay. Last two, right? I'm not gonna cut that. Beets and
The top, shuffle the card, there's your guys' and your name is on the box.
okay, thank you. Great. So we'll do this before beets. Potato. I'm just gonna close this so we're not hitting it. The gaufrettes is something we want to do down here. As far as chips, you guys probably know that already, right? When we are doing potato chips, I leave the skin on. That's probably Tim's Cascade right there, or kettle style, right? You can go a little bit thinner. Like so. This is probably more what you want. Chips, we fry at low temperature, like 275 for a longer amount of time. Because what you're doing in the deep fryer is evaporating the water out of the product to make it crispy. Okay? So that's what you're doing there. For gaufrettes, you have this nifty attachment right there. And this is not julienne. This is the waffle. It's the waffle maker, basically. So you put that up, and basically if you go down like that, you can see it gives you the ruffles, right? Now, I went down that way. If I turned it and went this way, it could start cross hashing, and it's a little too thick. So now, if I keep turning, I get something that is a result like this. So it looks kind of like a waffle. It's still a little bit too thick. Okay.
You do that, chef, by going down and then
Rotating
rotating it 90 degrees.
90 or right around there, yeah. Still a little bit thick. So again, kind of like that. So it's a fun little shape, you know, again, frying it at low temp to make chips. So I think you guys are all doing a potato or half a potato, something like that on Monday coming up. So that's how you would do that. Chips in general, this is probably the thickness that you want. Maybe a little bit thinner than that. Can you put a little water in there? Questions on mandolin? Safety of mandolin, any of that? Questions on the little attachments of the mandolin? Good for now? Okay, this normally lives in the cage, or it's in one of those drawers, the mandolin. Okay. Again, we're probably hand washing this over there, putting it back in the cage. Here's your mandolin. For tournée, you guys will start with a potato like this. This one you could probably do 3. Like that, okay? Here, I'm gonna go this way. And the size we're making is Chateau. Do you guys remember the other sizes? One starts with an F.
Remember the
Olivet, yep, is the little guy. Fondant is the big one, okay? So you want to end up with, if I cut the potato this way, let's say I'm going in thirds, right? Then I want to end up with a top and a bottom. Okay. There's a lot of waste that goes with tournée. A lot of times we're peeling them so that we can save the trim. This one I'm just going to show you guys, but basically I'm going to aim for the center and the center there and pare my way down. Okay, that's the first cut. The second cut, the way I position the knife is kind of halfway to where the cuts are. kind of halfway down there. That's what I want to take out at least. Okay, so as you can see, it's a lot of waste, right? Kind of like that. Okay. The next one, same thing. Probably half of that is coming off. So it looks like I have about 3 sides already. Okay, you can see there was a lot of waste right there, right? That's normal in tournay. Now I'm building my 4th side. So as you can see, it's starting to get built up right there, that 4th side. Okay. Fifth, 6th, and 7. That's not the best one, but it's probably passable. Okay. So that's kind of what it looks like right there. Again, you're taking off a lot. If it's easier, you can cut it so that you're not having to deal with a big old piece of trim like that. And if the potato's softer, it makes it a lot easier too.
So if like somebody was to make that shape, like how they plate just like a row of plate,
How do they what?
plate that?
Typically when these were plated, it would probably be about 3. Something like that. And they would be about this size. This is a little bit small. So again, if I got this piece, I'd probably use this as my top and bottom. If there's a cut side, I like to kind of start there. Okay, and then again, work my way down. This is the same potato that I had in the beginning. It's a pretty hard one. Sometimes you'll end up with a flat side like that too. Okay. You can either cut it out or leave it just like that. And you might see that on, do you remember the photos of the zucchini and things like that? You can't get it perfect. And sometimes you want a flat side so that it can rest on there. Okay. So again, but there you have it, a few different sizes. It's a lot of waste. No one really does it, but it's one of those things where it can help to teach you that motion that you'll be using a lot with peelers, with microplanes, stuff like that. So I think it's a good technique to at least know about. Right here.
There.
Yep. All right, last one's beets. Oh no, we got parsley also. So with parsley, okay, at first we're gonna pretend this is cilantro. Okay, in cilantro, it's a pretty tender herb. Even the stem is tender. Parsley is the same way. The stems are quite tender. you can eat them. So in second quarter, I don't want us to take them off the stem. I want us to use it all. Okay? So from here, I just tuck this in. If this is cilantro, and if it's cilantro, it's only one cut. Like that. We're not gonna go back and do this, because cilantro is gonna bruise and go brown by the next day. Okay? With parsley, because a lot of times when I ask you to mince parsley, it's gonna be quite fine, and you can mince it because it will not turn brown. It's one of those things that it holds its color really well. So cut it quite close. And if you cut the stems small enough, like that, most people can't tell, right? They're not gonna examine the damn thing unless you're doing parsley crust on a fish or something like that, right? Most people can't tell if it's gonna be in tabbouleh, right? They can't tell. A lot of times, a lot of the flavor on some of these herbs are in the stems also. I didn't take all that because it did get a little woody down there, okay? But from here, because we've started it very small already, it makes mincing a little bit easier. Have you guys had to do a lot of parsley anywhere? Any of you guys? No? Nobody? There's also, because I worked in places where they made me do cases of parsley a lot, and you had to get it like super duper fine, you can use 2. And it makes it go just a little bit faster. You just hold it between there, right? It took me like hours to do a case. Like I'm talking like 6 hours to do a case. So as you can see, it goes pretty fast if you do it that way. Okay. And for some reason, parsley has no problem staying green. It gets even better when you, Chef Shannon must have showed you guys already, right? When you put it in, cheesecloth or a towel and wring it out, dry it up. Okay. But that is kind of a hardy herb, like parsley, or when we were slicing it very gently, okay, it would be like what we would do with cilantro. Hours. They wanted it finer than that. Like I'm talking, it was pretty fine. It was near a puree. I don't think there is a machine. It was the stage. It was the intern. Questions so far? Good? This is that knife. I worked on it. So if you guys want to pass it around. I gave it another about 15 minutes on the stone. It's not quite there yet, but it's a lot sharper than what it was. And you can see the exposed edge is a lot, you know, deeper and different color, shining. Last one is beets, huh? Okay, spiralizer. David, what's your favorite technique so far or cut?
I really like the onion.
The onion? Zeke? Onion? Daniel, you said zesting or the onion? Onion? Which one? Bell pepper? Zesting? Really? Onion? Yeah, sometimes that cut for the bell pepper, I call it filleting it. So if I say fillet the bell pepper, it might mean that. Okay? Beets. This is your spiralizer here. Okay, so it looks like this. There's a blade right there and an attachment right here. So these attachments can come off. So it could be julienne or it could be without, whichever. Okay, you take your product, whatever you want it to be. Let's say it's an apple at first. I'm gonna take this attachment out. So it looks like that. There's a little wooden box in the cage. These guys live in there. Okay? But I'm just gonna try it with this apple. And basically, I'll just put it down right there. And it's like a pencil sharpener. Right? I mean, of course, the apple's got a lot of seeds and stuff like that. You might not use it like that, right? But if it's something like daikon radish, let's say if it was daikon radish, kohlrabi, something like that, where if we were to pickle it, it kind of looks kind of nice and fluffy. It works on a sandwich still. You can put it on, you know, as a garnish on some things. Works really well, okay? Or if you did take the apple and take the core out of the apple with a core, you can do this technique. You can then, you know, apple salad, you can toss this with vinaigrette, whatever you want, or accompaniment salad. So this is what it looks like without the attachment. So I like this technique a lot. You know, it's just a good way to put a different knife cut into a dish or something. Okay. And then if you want this in there, there it is. Yeah. We have beets. I'm only going to cut off a little bit because this part we're not going to use it anyway, so I don't cut off a lot. It's just going to be held by these spikes. So we have that right there, and then of course you might want to peel it. Who likes raw beets? One. Who doesn't like beets? One. I did not. You too? Yeah. You like them?
I've never had them raw.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You can dress them, you know, in a vinaigrette, and they're good. They give a different profile to a dish. So here, Is it working? There you go. So you got a bunch of, noodles coming out. Super easy to use. There we go.
You sharpen the blade on those or no?
You can, yeah. You can take it out with a screw and then just sharpen it on the stone. So that's the cool thing about these, they're cheaper. This brawn mandolin is like 150, 130. These are like 30 bucks, 40 bucks. So big difference. In these, what I've done in the past, dressed it, served it just like that, as a part of the greens or whatever. Or put it in a corn starch, okay, a little bit, and then fry them at lower temp. And they become a nice little nest that you could put on top of something, okay? Don't have to do it with beets. Done it with, a squash. What is it, like a butternut squash ravioli or agnolotti, something like that. But I wanted some crispiness, so we toasted some pumpkin seeds, put it on the dish, as well as noodled some squash, fried it, put it on the dish for even more squash component. So many different ways you can add those types of flavors and stuff. Look at that. Who's gonna use this? Beady. All right. What time is it? It's almost 11. I think I just want to go back over what is on the test with you. Was it a good apple? It felt really mealy.
The first one was good, but mine is
This feels like super mealy.
I've been feeding them to my chickens, so. I've seen that. It said thank you for your tips.
All right, so just to go over again, guys. I believe these are all the ones we're looking for. I think it's just 7 cuts. I might add on another one. I don't know yet. Since I didn't know, you guys didn't get to do the first one. So I might increase time, but add on another cut or something like that. We'll see. But so far, I think this is what I said on that testing sheet. So small oblique on 1 carrot, long oblique on 1 carrot, half of an apple, Brunoise, herb dice, okay, lozenge, red pepper, Asian julienne carrot. I think I said 1 or a half a carrot. I forget what I said on there. And then Brunoise onion, red or white, doesn't matter. But so far, I think those are the 7 cuts that's on that test. So at home, if you guys are cooking, start to practice those things. Okay? You doing a stir fry? Do that. You doing roasted veg? Do that. Okay? Vegetable salad, maybe this, Make a little apple, pear, something compote for, a pork dish or something like that. Herbs, of course, and then this you use in everything. So there you have it. Any questions? Good? Great. All right. Let's see, we have a few minutes.
I'll be back.
Okay. If you guys can help me close it up. Actually, I want to go over one more thing. One more thing. and it's about labels in general. Liz, I saw you label the side of the pan. Okay, if the pan is long, like this, the label goes there on the short side. But normally we store things short side like this, inside. So you don't want it on this side, because normally it's this side. So write it there. Don't stick the tape on the plastic, because the moment that goes away, we don't know the date and all that. Put the tape on the actual pan. Okay? One other thing that I do is in my station, when I start, if I don't have a clipboard, I put my tape there for the day. Okay? Like right there. When I used to have to work a station all the time, before I went to work, I had a plastic clipboard, and I would put my tape here, like the whole thing. And then I would just run my knife through and write my labels for the day. If I was taking the light rail in or the bus in, put today's date, my initial, all that was already done. That was my mise en place right there. I already knew what I needed. It's a good way to kind of get ahead. My tape's already there. I don't have to run over there. If I didn't do that, my tape was already here at the station, so I don't need to go find tape. Because in most kitchens, it's not going to be in one area, it's going to be in multiple areas. Some people are finicky about their tape. I've worked in kitchens where you can only cut. So we always had to carry our small scissors around. Because you know, we would have to cut them. I like it. I like the detail in that. I don't require it. Okay. But what I do like to help out the dish guy is once I do this, I will then fold over on one side so it looks like it's cut. Because when I put it on there, after I'm done for the dish guy, or for me, to take it off for the dish guy, it's very easy. That's what I like, make that little tab. So, just some things that you might learn along the way, depending on what kitchen you're working for, depending on what detail you want. Again, some people, they're gonna require you to cut. Some people, one place, it was so cool, it had a tape dispenser and the cut was perfect. So we didn't have to worry about scissors, but there was a point in time when I used to always carry scissors around because of that. And if you tore it, I mean, you got talked to immediately. Who the hell did this? Blah, blah, blah. So, pretty normal. Okay, so if you guys can help me label some of these things, some of them we're just gonna toss probably. But I think all of this we're gonna keep right here. But get a lid, label, and then I'll start putting away some things. All right, any questions so far today? Good?